Patrick, looks okay?
Yep.
Okay, good. All right, I wish to call July 15th, 2025 regular meeting of the Cook County Grand Marais Joint Economic Development Authority to order. It is 4 p.m. Commissioners present: Hedstrom, B.B. Gudice, Shackleton, Mills, Benson, Anderson, and Clissold. None absent. All right, so the agenda was provided to the commissioners on Friday, July the 11th. And for those that are here in person, there's a few copies in the back of the room if you wish. Are there any requests for changes to the agenda?
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda by adding an item, update and discussion on resolution 2025-22.
2025-22. All right, any other additions or changes? Is there a motion to approve the July 15th, 2025 agenda?
Move as amended.
Support. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by saying nay? All right, motion carries 7-0. All right, next item is public comments. So any members of the public that wish to speak on items that are not included in today's agenda, please kindly approach the table here in the center, state your name for the record. Anybody? Nope, seeing none? Okay.
You want me to turn it off?
All right, this picks you up.
All right, seeing none, we'll close public comments. Next item, approval of meeting minutes. You'll find this on pages 1 through 3 for the meeting minutes for June the 17th, and pages 4 through 6 in the packet for the special meeting that was held on July the 3rd. Any changes to the meeting minutes that have been noted or requested?
Move the approval as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next item is a review of the financials. The balance sheet as of the 30th of June can be found on pages 17 through 14. Yes.
I'm sorry, was that our special meeting too? Or do we have to do this separate? Or did you say that and I slept through it?
I may not have said it.
My motion was intended for both.
Okay, thanks. All right.
Thank you.
So noted. Okay.
Keeping me honest, thank you.
Okay, probably.
Review of financials. So in 3 parts, the balance sheet for the EDA, pages 7 through 14, as of the 30th of June. Bill approval status through July 2025 can be found on pages 15 through 16. And EDA and Superior National Financials following that. So what I'd like to do is turn it over to Commissioner Shackleton.
Okay, the month of June was pretty common, I think way out of the ordinary. The ledger will show what bill pays were done in June. One note of importance is that we did receive the levy payment for the first payment for the year. And so our the balance sheet bank account as of today is $314,000 in the checking account and another $97,000 in the money market account as far as EDA is concerned. So we're in good shape for cash on hand. Any questions about the EDA financials before I move on to Spear? Spear Golf Course had a pretty good June. It made up for a slow May. Year to date, profit is up about 1%. Sales are down about 11%, but it's made up for it because of the food and beverage. It's jumped up significantly over previous years. And the cash on hand is improving. We're still monitoring it, but cash in the bank is about $156,000 as of today. So Anybody has any questions about Superior National?
My understanding is that Canadian traffic is down.
I have noticed it. That's true. And it's been the last couple of weeks where I've heard.
Know what the number of rounds?
I don't have it right now. But it was slightly down the last time I saw it. I mean, it's, revenue was down 10%, golf revenue.
Okay.
So I would imagine rounds probably down about, 8%.
Okay.
July payments. Any questions or concerns about the July payments?
A motion to approve.
Yeah, I'm about to. Okay. Seeing none, so is there a motion to approve the July 2025 payments? Second. Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries. And the balance sheets will be sent then to audit for both the EDA and Superior National. Okay, taking us then to new business. These first three resolutions are related to the Business Development Grant Program. First up is 2025-29, a resolution authorizing a business development grant fund agreement with Sweetwater Design Studios, LLC, for a total amount not to exceed $25,000. The details can be found in pages 22 through 60 in the packet. Sweetwater Design Studios, as I say, a business development grant fund not to exceed $25,000. The applicant desires to purchase and install grinder pumps for a sewer lift station at their property to service two new office commercial rental buildings that are currently under construction. Across those two buildings, there'll be 12 office studios. The Grant Review Committee met on this application, as I understand it, on the 30th of June and made the recommendation for funding approval to be considered by the full EDA board. So the total project cost for this work is a little over $78,000, and the applicant understands that their minimum 25% match requirement equates to $6,250 A resolution is included on page 50, and a draft funding agreement on pages 51 through 60. It's my understanding that owners Molly and Phil Larson are here, if there are any comments from them or questions from the commissioners. So I'll call for a motion to approve Resolution 2025-29, authorizing a business development fund grant agreement with Sweetwater Design Studios, LLC, for a total amount not to exceed $25,000. So is there a motion? Thank you, Commissioner Mills. Second. Second. Okay. Any discussion or questions on this?
Are they here?
Yeah.
Do you guys want to come up and speak or?
Yeah.
Came.
Have a nice chair. Hello. Nice new building here.
Yeah.
Went up so fast.
Back at you.
What'd you say?
Back at you.
Oh. Thank you. Yeah, what would you like to hear about? Thank you very much for reviewing our
Thank you so
application so
much.
quickly. I know you're probably under some extra workload with the director leaving, but yeah, we appreciate it. We're kind of in need of this timely for our project too, so it was a big deal that you guys got to it right away for us, so thank you very much. And we're looking forward to start using some water and plumbing very much.
Great, thank you. Any questions for the applicants?
I don't have any questions, but I appreciate the details it provided. It was very thorough, and I especially appreciate just the cost breakdown for the lift pump. It's a fairly unique, but not, not unheard of situation, and I think it's important for other people to know what that costs and what options there are, because utilities are a major hurdle, and finding solutions is really key, so thanks for providing that info.
A lot more expensive than we thought.
Right.
They kept coming back at that same price too, so I was like, I guess that's what they cost.
Yeah.
Did you guys have an updated timeline for finishing the project at all?
No, not, still August for the east building, or might be,
September.
no, it might be September now with that one. Haven't heard from the plumbers for a while, so that makes me always a little anxious, but yeah, still thinking as soon as possible on that east building. West building, end of 2026.
Thank you.
All right, any other comments or questions? All right, seeing none, the motion has been made and seconded, so all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, seeing none, the motion carries. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you
So
very much.
excited.
Yeah.
Okay, next up is resolution 2025-30. And this is authorizing a business development grant fund agreement with Wild West Trucks and Timber LLC for a total amount not to exceed $10,000. The details of the application can be found in pages 61 through 100 in the material. As mentioned in the memo on page 61, the applicant desires to purchase equipment for a new auto repair shop located at their property here in Grand Marais. The applicant's original request was for $25,000. The grant review committee met and is making a partial funding recommendation of $10,000 to the full EDA board. The total project cost is estimated at $31,250, and the applicant understands that their minimum 10% match requirement is $1,000. The resolution is included on page 90 and a draft funding agreement on pages 91 through 100. Owners Wesley and Stephanie Higgins are here. If there are any comments from them or questions from commissioners.
Hello.
Hi,
Hello.
thanks for coming.
I also get the nice chair.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Any questions from?
I don't have questions for you guys, but just how did, I'm not super experienced with our grant process, and I know it's a difficult process, but just curious about dollar determinations and that sort of thing, if there's any insight there that can help me better understand the process.
The variance between the 25,000 that was applied and the 10,000 awarded, yes.
Thanks for clarifying, yes.
I'll leave that for the grant.
Yeah, I could maybe address that. So this isn't written in stone, but generally speaking, when there is a startup business that puts forth a project budget that includes the minimum match requirement for the maximum award amount, right, which in this case is the $31,250. We've discussed amongst ourselves as a committee and in previous applications is we generally would like to see more investment in that startup beyond the minimum. So as it pertains to this particular application, I think there were some questions about the financing or cost of the shop space. There was a limitation because it is zoned residential, right? Or perhaps you were limited by zoning to a home-based business, which would prohibit the company from growing past a certain point. Is that, as far as hiring more employees,
Yes,
Right,
yes.
so that-
As an R1, we can't employ anyone at this point, but depending on what happens, future
Sure.
expansion could allow us to purchase a commercial space and employ other people and, yeah.
Right, so in
We
this
don't wanna make
particular
any
situation,
decisions.
there was a limitation that this phase one of your startup, right? We're super supportive of it. We'd like to invest in the startup. Because of that direct limitation right now, in the first few years of your business, we were most comfortable with a partial award to help finance equipment. In your application, you demonstrated a partnership with Napa, which is a lot of marketing potential for sure. It's huge, and you suggested that in the near future you might expand to another location in a commercial district, which would allow you to build more shop space, potentially residential units above that, and a full-fledged commercial business that could employ many more people. So in that instance, I think the organization would love to see another application at that time for a larger award amount with just as their own comprehensive plan as you provided to move into the next phase of the business. Does that make sense?
Commissioner Rose.
Yes, and thank you for that explanation. I don't think that's the first time that you had to explain it to me, so I appreciate that.
With the previous award, I think it wasn't clarified that what they're doing is creating office space for many other businesses, which is a high need kind of thing, and so it will have an impact on lots of businesses, not just that one.
I appreciate that too, thank you. Well, I'd like to make a motion to approve this business development grant.
Second?
Thank you for that. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries.
Wonderful.
Congratulations.
Thank you
Thank you all very
much.
much.
Thanks, guys. Congrats.
And we did fill out our W-9, so that is right away. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, that takes us then to resolution 2025-31, authorizing a business development grant fund agreement with Cedar Sun Electric LLC for a total amount not to exceed $10,000. You'll find the details on pages 101 through 123 of the packet. Is mentioned in the memo on page 101, the applicant desires to purchase equipment and tools for a new electrical and solar contracting business located in Hoveland. The applicant's original request was for $24,999. The grant review committee met and is making a partial funding recommendation of $10,000 here to the full EDA board. The total project cost is estimated at $31,304. The applicant understands their minimum 10% match requirement, of $1,000. And a resolution is included on page 112 and a draft funding agreement on pages 113 through 123. Owners Wendy and Stephen Kuchera, good, okay, are here. And if there's any comments either from our applicants or from the commissioners, this would be the time to have that conversation. So come on up. Any questions from the commissioners, the Kucheras? No? Great.
Does anyone else, not that you need to know this, but is curious, we have had some solar contractors, I don't know where we sit right now in the county, is anyone else actively?
Not explicit solar contractors.
Okay.
Shep, I think those here, yeah.
He does solar work, but not explicit, right?
Yeah.
Brian's done, so I wasn't sure where we stood
Yeah,
with
Brian
that.
was at the explicit.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Make a motion to approve,
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
We're
you.
excited.
Thank you.
Okay, that takes us next to resolution 2025-42, 32. This is somewhat administrative, but this is designating a secretary and assistant treasurer for the Cook County Grand Marais Joint Economic Development Authority. You might recall that historically, these are two offices held by the EDA executive director. We don't currently have that position filled. On the board, we currently have a president, a vice president, that's Commissioner Hedstrom, and a treasurer, Commissioner Shackleton. What I'm looking for is, frankly, a couple of volunteers to become the secretary and the assistant treasurer. Howard, you've been here a lot longer than I have, but in my experience, these sort of two positions that actually don't require any work or time, but they do need to be,
I'll
filled.
volunteer.
They do need to be filled on paper, so. Did I see you raise your hand, Sarah?
I think I could for the secretary role,
Secretary.
if there's really, I mean, you don't have a job description, it's just,
You have to sign something once in a while.
okay, I can do that.
Assistant treasurer.
One,
Commissioner
two, three,
Mills,
got
I
it.
see,
That's why I was smiling, I was getting ready to do that.
I think you moved your hand, so I'm gonna take Commissioner Mills as a volunteer.
I'll send you all the passwords, Dave.
No.
So is there a motion to approve Resolution 2025-32, designating Commissioner Anderson to serve as secretary and Commissioner Mills to serve as assistant treasurer for the remainder of the 2025 calendar year or until new appointments are made by the EDA board?
I like that last sentence, so I would move this resolution.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All those signify by saying aye.
Hi.
Hi.
All those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, before we get to item 7, which is the SBDC report, there was an amendment to the agenda by Commissioner Bibi Gudice regarding, I believe you said, Resolution 2025-22?
Yeah.
Okay.
So after our special meeting last week, there was a article published addressing grant was approved on May 20th for a business in town that was delinquent on their taxes. The grant status was described as frozen, which I'm not quite sure exactly what that means. So my purpose in bringing this up for discussion is to gain a little more clarity on the status of the resolution, what frozen means, where we're at and where we're going. So I just have a few specific questions, maybe to bring a little clarity to that. I think it's especially important to maybe define or explain what that status is to the public. As a commissioner reading the article, I was a little uncertain to what that actually meant as well. So my first question for the group is, has a grant agreement been executed for this particular resolution?
Okay, I'll speak to that, but before I do, I should note that when this grant was submitted and approved, we've had 2 commissioners recuse themselves.
Correct.
And then, actually, Commissioner Gudice, you were one of them.
Absolutely.
Okay, and Commissioner Anderson was the other. And, you know, the EDA board hasn't defined, that I'm aware of, what recusal looks like. It certainly means not a vote. I will need to, I think, probably further define this, but in my mind, it also means no involvement whatsoever. But notwithstanding that, I think we can have this conversation in the interest of public transparency. So, the first question?
It's just simply, has an agreement been executed?
No.
Okay. The guidelines are fairly clear that the projects within an application that are approved can't commence until the agreement's executed. So in this situation with the frozen status of this resolution, what is the path moving forward for the application or the projects approved in the application? My question specifically is, if projects can't commence until the agreement's executed, is there a plan to, once the agreement is executed, are the same projects being funded by the resolution passed in May? It's been over 50 days since those projects were approved by the committee and the board. So I'm just curious, what is the plan? Is there a new application or a new list of projects submitted to be funded by an agreement whenever that may happen?
Sure.
Or is the application and the projects and the funding all frozen?
Yeah, the course of events as I see it is settle the open issue of the LLC. With that, a grant agreement can be executed, because to your first question, one hasn't been executed yet. Then that opens up the window for reimbursement. Activities that have been done prior to that execution date wouldn't be reimbursable. Would I be willing to have the board consider a new set of expenditures falling under? Yes, perhaps.
Right.
But it's execution of agreement, then submittal of expenses post-agreement date, and then reimbursement. So activities occurring before the execution of an agreement wouldn't be eligible.
Right, that makes sense. My next question is what's the timeline on this? So we're June 15th or July 15th right now. We've had, in the past week or so, 2 more applications for funding for $25,000 each. That's $50,000. There's a moratorium on new applications right now, in part due to the fund being almost maxed out. We have about $9,800 left that hasn't been distributed or otherwise dispersed. So my question is, how long, we've a couple months now have passed that we've set aside funds so this project can become eligible or this resolution can move forward. My question for the organization is, at what point does that window stop? When does it stop? When do we either pull the trigger on moving forward, or do we put that money back in the pot for other applications who were 100% eligible at the time of application?
Yep. Yeah, the applicant has committed to getting the LLC issue solved in August. And if that's the case, my recommendation would be that the board go ahead and support the execution of that agreement. If August comes and goes and it's still not resolved, because I think we've been pretty generous with time, then we would consider a new resolution to rescind the grant.
So one of our missing elements to our process is that time frame you're talking about. Having a set time that you,
Like ideally,
Or is it-
extensions would have been caught before the grant was awarded, right? So, but this grant application came in before the guidelines were updated. And so we're kind of in this gray area, so it wasn't caught. And then it was something we discovered a few weeks later, so.
Sure.
So that's why we're in this situation. So moving forward, I don't see this scenario happening again, in the same circumstances, so.
And as it relates to past due taxes, my personal opinion is, whether it's in the guidelines or not, some things transcend the guidelines. We've got commissioners, we've got humans looking at these grant applications. If we were simply putting them into a computer or into an Excel spreadsheet and spitting out an answer, frankly, they wouldn't need us. So there's an element of judgment that's included there. So grant guidelines or not, and they're terrific guidelines, and you've taken a lead in improving them, as have you, Siri. Some things, as I say, transcend that, and had we caught that in advance, the application would have been rejected, but it wasn't.
is that part of the process now too? Is that kind of what you were saying? That's
Yeah,
part of the
right now it's
process?
something it's a step we take. So if someone comes in and wants to approve property, it's okay, let's look at the property tax status of that building or that applicant or whatever it might be. And we always look for LLC registration now, so it's part of one of the first steps too, so. It wouldn't.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Well, today's been a really good example of what EDA is about. We've given 1, 2, 3 grant applicants some money for business development, economic development in our community, some to some new folks and some to existing businesses. And the one we're talking about now, you know, it's an existing business, and yeah, there's always some regrettable things happen, but you know, it's still a viable existing business, and you know, if we can help out, we intend. My intention here, on my service on the board, is to help out people that are in business and doing economic activity and providing a service and employment. And you know, personally, I encourage this individual to apply, and not all of us are as good at paperwork as others, and we kind of got caught in that, but I still think it's still a viable business, and you know, if we can, you know, get some money in there for him, and the money is doled out as you get into the queue, and I think we had a discussion about this at a different meeting about, you know, how do we, you know, rather than just being so ad hoc, is there more of a structured way to advertise and accept grant proposals rather than every one by one, and you know, as we mature in what we're doing, you know, we will mature how we do it. But in this case, I think I'm ready to go another month just to see where if we can complete all the paperwork and documents, and you know, help out who we intended to help out when we first voted on this.
Yeah, well said. Other questions?
Sure, just a couple more points. You know, I should have prefaced this by, you know, I have no personal issues with this project. Had I not recused myself, I would have voted in support of it. Had the eligibility issues been in place. The conflict I'm having internally right now, however, is, you know, the standing review committee that processes these applications. Let's see, April 17th, we denied an application in part due to that business not being a registered LLC. We said, hey, here's a list of things that your application is lacking. One of them is you need to be a registered LLC to deny your application. When you apply in the future, make sure you are active. A couple weeks later, we got an application that was submitted, and that applicant was, unbeknownst to them, delinquent on their taxes. It was an accident, whatever the case may be. We denied the application based on that and said, please resolve this, and then reapply. And they promptly addressed it, reapplied, and were awarded funding. So it's not a question of, to me, you know, of course we're here to help people out, but it's a question of administering a program based on consistent standards. There's all sorts of questions, I think, that we could ask about why and when and how and who knew what and when, but my point is that as an organization we've taken great steps to advance this program, strive for excellence and consistency, and I have a hard time making decisions as part of one committee that aren't reinforced by the decisions of another committee, so to speak. So I just feel like it was important enough to me to bring up is that it's not so much, you know, the eligibility requirements as they're written now not being met, but it's how can we as an organization make deliberate efforts to be consistent in the decisions that we make.
Yeah, good point.
And that in and of itself is the reason why I bring this up. It's not the individual, it's not the business, it's not the project, but it's all the work we've done this year to improve our grant program and I'd like to see us keep making good steps forward and finding some level of consistency that no matter who's on the committee processing the application, we all know what we're looking for, what's fair, and we apply the standards consistently.
Well, I think that's a real important part of it is conversations aren't, and discussions like this aren't really necessarily so much about the person behind it. It's a business. These are our criteria. This is what we're trying to do for our community. And we have to remember that this is money we're given from the county that's grant money. And so I think it takes an extra layer. And as you said, consistency, board members change, whatever. We have to have a criteria we can follow that doesn't look like it's, not even optics, but just it has a clear path forward that anyone can utilize and get to the same space about it, or as best as possible, because it's not that black and white. But I agree with everything you said, and and mostly because it's grant money, and I think our conversation, a revolving loan fund takes care of itself to some extent. There's usually more criteria. And I could suggest some more fine tuning to how we do it because we're giving money away, which is different than a loan scenario by a huge bit to me. So thank you, Alex.
Yeah, actually, I think Commissioner Anderson had her hand up first. Okay, Commissioner Mills.
Yeah, I was gonna say, very, very well said, and yeah, the revolving loan committee, I think, has a little bit more scrutiny there. It's definitely older, more experience and mature, right? And so in my mind, it's part of growing pains, transition pains, aside from the growing, as well as the B team maybe being on that particular application, because like I said, I struggle with that process, and I really appreciate the work that has been put into that because it's extremely helpful both for subs on the committee as well as the applicants. And kind of to quote my fellow commissioner, Commissioner Gamble, it's about building integrity into the process, and I think the work that you guys have done is really helping in that direction. So
I think,
a lot of those
I
efforts.
agree, 100%, and I agree that the new guidelines are in place, and the new application document is in place. They were evolving in May, right? And so, I think going forward, I really doubt we're gonna have a similar situation in the future. But it's good to remind everybody that whether Alex is in charge of this grant, because he does a lot of the background work, that there should be something there for maybe a substitute review committee, that they should be an outline or some kind of steps. Okay, remind everybody, this is what we do. Here's the application document, here's the guidelines, let's go through it step by step, so nothing gets missed, right? I think if that's done, then I don't think we're gonna have another similar issue, so.
Yeah. Well, we're way tighter than we have been in the
Yeah.
past, so.
No,
Great
maybe.
It's
improvements.
fine, yeah, so, I
Absolutely.
mean, it's way more documentation, so I mean, we're good, I think we're.
And just to go back
Exactly.
one more to, when you don't participate, you don't participate at any level. If there's any question about what that means publicly, and after within our city and our review with the city attorney, you are not participating at any level once you're not part of it. You're not communicating nothing. So there shouldn't be any confusion about that.
Any other comments on this subject? Good?
Okay, thanks.
Okay. All right, good conversation. That takes us to item number 7, back to the original agenda, which is the SBDC report. Pete Mott has joined. Thanks for including the report. Anything you wish to add, Pete?
Well, I thought I might just give a little quick review of that report. Fantastic.
We want to make sure, we're still fine tuning volume and recording, so make sure, you should be picked up, but I've had feedback from the general public that we're not still kind of getting everything adjusted right, so make sure you're by your mic.
Thank you very much. I suspect that my baseball teams will argue that they never have a problem hearing me, but I'll make sure I'll enunciate. proudly, because I'm very happy to be here, President Clissold, members of the board. Thank you very much for the opportunity to work with you. This continued partnership through the transition of the leadership is most appreciated. The communication has remained strong, which has allowed me to do my work, which the summary here presents kind of a few facts I wanted to bring to the committee. We work every month with new clients that come to the SBDC. They come at different levels. Some of them have established businesses, some of them just have dreams. And so we move at the pace that the clients move. And so you may be sending referrals to us, or you may be hearing about people working with us, but not being presented with any paperwork. And in some of those cases, those businesses are just getting out into the community and running with what they got. And so due to some confidentiality, I can't really share all those details, but I did hope to add just a little fact about how many businesses were started over the last couple of months. We had 4 brand new businesses started. And in addition to those folks that we're working with at the SBDC, we've also collaborated with some nonprofits that have come to us, not necessarily through the SBDC, but because they're interested in interacting with this committee, they've reached out in terms of grant development discussions. And so we've had the opportunity to kind of work more broadly with the community, and that's been exciting. I don't know how many of those are referrals that are coming from you folks, but I do appreciate you letting folks know that we do exist and we're out there in the community. And just those nonprofits involve history items, they involve animals, they involve humans, so it's really kind of all across the board. They are institutions in some cases of our community, so I'm happy to be working with them. And then finally, I just wanted to mention some of the communication and potential collaboration with the SBDC and the HRA. We know that their involvement is countywide, and some of the programs that we do at the SBDC are very well positioned to help communities in all of Cook County. So I know that we work quite a bit with the Grand Marais community, but we're also, as you saw today, reaching out to the broader community to try to bring them into the economic discussion. So part of that involves just a close conversation and relationship with the HRA, which I've appreciated over these past several months, having Jeff be in our office and work collaboratively, not just with the EDA, but also reaching out to the SBDC. So, and that's all I have. If you have any questions.
Any questions for Pete?
Thanks for your work. Of the businesses that were formed, what types of businesses were formed? Were they all LLCs or were some sole proprietorships?
They were all LLCs, actually. Yep. Yeah.
So I can assume 2 of those we saw earlier today?
They actually started their business, though the one is not, yes, one of them is and one of them isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of them would have started in April.
Sure.
Okay, thanks, Pete.
Thank you.
For your work, Pete.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is committee and commissioner reports. Go in no particular order. Around the horseshoe.
All right, I'll start. One of the hats I wear, of course, is the Cook County Real Estate Fund. We're building an apartment project called The Heights. Most of the foundation work is done. It's up on this side of up yonder. All the units, they're manufactured units. I'm told that all the units have been started in construction, marching down the production line, and they will start showing up in Cook County shortly. I think we just got approval to stage those up at the old airport.
That's my understanding.
So those will be coming in. Hopefully they'll all be here by mid to late August. Then they ordered a huge crane to throw them into place.
FAA came through then, is that?
Pardon?
That's what I heard, yeah.
Okay, wow,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah, and it'll take some fitting and other work, so they're targeting summer, probably between November and December 1st for occupancy, so, we have started, the marketing on those, starting with some meetings with people that are interested, aging out of their homes, for instance, and we're transitioning, we'll be talking to businesses soon about, maybe trying to have the businesses lock down a few units for their needs and things like that, so. Related note, driving by the Gunflint View, there's a sign that says there's 14 left, so, and they just started moving in 1st of June, so I mean, that's pretty good to, August, need there.
2 months.
Or 2 more?
No, 2 months.
Yeah, so I mean, our the Heights occupancy schedule gives us a year to fill it up, so for instance, in a business plan. Which is typical, what you need. The other thing, I'm retired from Hedstrom Lumber, but still kind of keep in touch. Jeff Johannes is here. He informed me about a project that they've got, a potential project. They had an initial meeting with IRRB about funding. It's a mass timber. If anybody knows about mass timber, it's you take a bunch of boards and glue them together, and you get these big panels that could be anywhere from 4 to 6 inches thick. They're building buildings multiple stories with these things. There's an outfit out in Montana,
Columbia Falls, Montana.
Columbia Falls, that is interested in using some Minnesota woods, red pine specifically. So they want to do a test, send some lumber from Minnesota, Cook County out there. And of course, a little history for those, years ago, people would be throwing a bunch of grant applications at IRRB and our legislators up there kind of threw up their hands and said, oh, we don't know who we should give grants to, you do it. And so for many years now, we've been funneling grant applications, not exclusively through the EDA, but you know, if it comes, grant applications come through EDA, it's sort of vetted in the community and they understand that this is a nice viable project. So I bring it up, and I don't know exactly the process, but I would guess kind of as just information, and this would be a thing that be some committee work on or do some work on, and hopefully have a resolution to throw a grant application in for IRRB, you know, hopefully for our next meeting. So this is just a little heads up, what's going on.
Letter of support type?
Pardon?
Letter of support type?
Well, it actually, probably the funding would go through us like we do with our other IRRB. So the resolution that we will probably entertain is be the fiscal agent for this grant.
Gotcha.
But this is just a little heads up that this is coming down the pike.
Great.
Can I come forward and just?
Yep, please, this is Jeff Johannes from
Yeah.
Hedstrom
Hi,
Lumber.
everybody. So had a meeting on July 7th with Janelle Greshner and Ryan Mallett from the IRRB, talking about this project, and it's something that between the IRRB and the NRRI out of Duluth that they've been really involved in with the development of both the adaptation of mass timber construction within the state of Minnesota, and ultimately their goal is to try and get a mass timber or CLT, cross-laminated timber manufacturer located in the state. And so this is kind of the first step of it, of where this started from. Smartland was the company that I've been working with in Montana. They're a well-established player in this industry, and reached out to them about 9 months ago. We've kind of talked back and forth.
but they're starting to develop some interest in projects in Minnesota where the interest is there to use Minnesota timber. It's a great selling point for them to be able to go to the customer and say, hey, this is stuff that comes from your state. To do that, there needs to be engineering done on it to make sure, obviously, if you build an eight-story building out of this timber, to make sure it doesn't fall over. And so that's initially what we're looking at. My conversation with the IRRB is that they recommended that I come to the EDA and work with you guys on it, and they were specifically pointing out that it could be a development partnership or a commissioner's grant that would supply the funding for this. But everything sounded positive on their end, that they were on board with wanting to look at furthering this project.
Yeah, they better be, because there's more than just Cook County that's got.
Right, this isn't just, obviously we're hoping it benefits Hedstrom Lumber and the county on some scale, but it truly is a northern Minnesota and a Minnesota thing, that it's bigger than what we're doing. As far as I know, this is the first time that Minnesota produced timber has been put or will be put into a CLT panel. And ultimately the goal is that, both from the testing and can develop some marketing materials of hey, this is red pine, or this is white spruce or jack pine, the local species we have of taking it to the customer, and this is the look you're gonna get out of it. It goes from something theoretical for them of saying, yeah, we can probably do this, to no, we can do this, and we know it works. And so hopefully it's a big step in getting, really getting these buildings built in the state. The building code adopted this construction method right around the first of the year. So it's not something that, basically hurdles are being removed from using this as a construction method, and it's being adopted. So it's really kind of a chance for us to get on the ground floor.
Great, thank you.
So my request is be a sense of the board that we, and I would kind of take on the lead role, but, use our staff to kind of help this project, get something ready for next meeting.
Well, I'm still unclear then what it is that EDA is being asked to do. I mean, like literally asked to do,
Well,
not
some
just
staff time, and then would we have a resolution, be the fiscal agent for the funding? Sounds like what IRRB wants.
just fiscal agent. What's the rest of the staff time then for?
Well, developing a resolution and, maybe some interaction with IRRB, I don't know what that takes, that'll,
Crossing T's, dotting I's.
Right. Is there a point person at IRRR that we should be in contact with?
yeah.
Yeah, I believe that Janelle Greshner would be the point person.
She's the one that's been saying commissioner grants or development grants. That's
Yeah.
where the idea came from there?
Yeah, so the dollar amount we're talking, I don't have the firm numbers, but I mean, it's approximately $15,000. And it's, I don't know if it's due to the small amount, that it's smaller than what their grants are, or what they wanna mess with is why they pointed in this direction, but she made it sound like there certainly was funding available. Frankly, just asked them, it's like, is this something you'd get behind? And she said yes, so.
So Commissioner Hedstrom, regarding the administrative staff, so we are, and we'll talk about this in a few minutes, but we are working under a memorandum of understanding with a particular scope of work. So, which is already, we're kind of drifting on that already, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's, that sort of new work would not be in the current scope. But as we'll hear from the personnel department and from myself, the scope is expanded.
Right. Well,
potentially.
we've worked, or working duties go on.
Yep.
But we have to have an order of priority, and that's why we have to be a real clear understanding of what your ask is, not that are negative about it. Since we are at a point right now where we have to be very careful and we have limited ability time-wise, we just have to really understand what we're being asked to do and what, you know, what's committed
And
to
where
it.
it fits into the Gantt chart, because that's what we're gonna need, yeah.
If you got the, if you got the contact information from this lady from Triple R, if you got that to us, you know, I could reach out to her and
Okay,
just ask her like, what's the steps here? You know, it's not that, wouldn't it be that hard? It's to have a better understanding about what we're being asked to do.
okay.
And then we can move from there. How's that?
Absolutely, yeah, I guess I was kind of unclear on how the
Yeah.
process worked as
Right,
well,
so
so.
I'd like to reach out to her first, so if we do that.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Commissioner Anderson. Okay.
Oh,
Do you have anything to share, just,
just that I met with a professor who's interested in taking on some research about the history of the SBDC. I'm sorry, not SBDC, the small business, the grant that we oversee. And she hasn't decided yet, so we're still waiting on a decision on that. But her class is on costs and benefits, which is exactly what we're interested in learning more about. So hopeful that she will agree to take it on.
it sounds interesting and useful. I assume there'd be pretty good attention paid to confidentiality.
Yeah.
You probably communicated that, you know, we've got our bubble of this, but the impacts, you know, it could be quite a model, you know, if there was replication of it, so it's, I think the project is exciting, but I'm not the one doing it, so.
okay, great, thank you. Next on to me then, so just by way of follow-up from our special meeting of the 3rd of July, so we created a special committee on the administrative support that we need, and that was Commissioners Hedstrom, Shackleton, and myself. And so we did execute a scope of work with NSDC, North Shore Development Company. Many of you would know it as Jason and Teresa. Teresa, Heidi Krampitz, and I had a kickoff meeting early last week, and Teresa has jumped in well. The scope, generally speaking, is about keeping the EDA machine running, things like the intake of grant applications, the reimbursement of grant expenditures, managing the existing IRRR and DEED grants, working with the golf course on their FEMA grant packets, resolutions, agreements, etc. Keeping the machine running. Coming out of the transition meeting, though, with Heidi and Teresa, there would also appear to be a fair amount of what I would call deferred maintenance in the administrative space, perhaps reporting and such that had not been kept up on as it should have. So I'm not going to quite disband the special committee just yet, Commissioners Hedstrom and Shackleton, apologies, but we'll need to work through with NSDC on, to Commissioner Benson's point, the priorities laid out in the Gantt chart, so we don't have to necessarily solve for everything on the first week or the first month, but let's solve what's on fire today and map out what the plan is for the next few months. So we'll continue to do that. Commissioner Mills?
So how far did that scope reach? How
In
big?
terms of time,
I'm sorry?
the scope, the original
How
scope,
large did it, what was the
it's
discussion?
being uncovered, and it would appear that just a lot of documentation hasn't been properly managed. So
The contract is 20 hours a week, no specific.
It's currently a 6-month contract.
Okay.
If that's what you're asking, the timeline with a 30-day notice period.
You meant the backlog.
I was curious about
That's
Tag
being-
Harbor, golf course, and business park, projects if the scope had already been discussed.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
It's all part of it. Now, as it relates to things like TAC Harbor, this isn't, this back-end administrative support isn't customer or community facing.
Yes.
Okay, so in
Yes.
terms of things like stakeholder meetings, et cetera, no. But as it relates to the back end
Yep.
of keeping the money flowing, absolutely yes.
Thank you.
Okay. One other item, and Pete, this actually came from you, but it's related to TAC Harbor. And Pete Mott was at a meeting in Schroeder a week or so ago, and just wanted to let us know that let's see if I got this right. The Heritage Center on the 2nd of August, between 10 a.m. rather, and 2 p.m., is going to have an open house related to the history of TAC Harbor. And so, for those of us, all of us, that have an interest in TAC Harbor, if you're available, you might make your way down there for this open house. There'll be some, as I understand it, some veterans of old days TAC Harbor, as well as some history there. So,
Could you repeat that date and time?
sorry, it is the 2nd of August at 10 in the morning until 2 p.m. at their Heritage Center.
They kindly do that because they have a picnic, so a lot of my friends will be there, ex-Taconite Harbor residents, and they have their somewhat annual picnic, and then they'll have that to go with it. Of course, that, like you just said, just is a Saturday fisherman's picnic.
Toss fish too.
We should give Stantec a heads up, just.
Yeah, they can come up and join the fun. I'll be in the fish burger stand, but
Could be valuable perspective, just give them a heads up.
it would be.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they wanted,
Yeah.
was that kind of piece. So, yeah, maybe they'll want to do a trip up the shore.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Over to you. Do you have any?
Oh.
To share?
So speaking of the Taconite Harbor project in Stantec, the county commissioners did approve the SOW and the timeline. However, it is now sitting with the county attorney for final approval, but it's my understanding they didn't make any specific changes to it, but you just need her to, because Stantec tried to reach me today like, where is it? And once again, not a lot of good communication back, but eventually via Brady, I'm in the know again. And I've done a lot of outreach at different meetings, got in front of a few, so our stakeholder list, which is one of our important next steps, is growing rapidly, which is really good. And now I'm out to Silver Bay and Lake County, so we'll see what comes from that. I think we should be about complete from then. April has it up at Grand Portage too as well for review. And then we've really got to get focused on suggestions for the 12-person Strategic Planning Advisory Committee, which are individuals not representing their stakeholders per se, but they're individuals to be recommended to sit through a lot of this processing, to be ready to get to the point we do the community visioning and those conversations. So I may send it out to all of you folks to help us brainstorm, because we really need to get rolling on that. And I think that's a thing where you don't just send somebody a note, you've got to go have a conversation with them. They'll explain.
So this is recruiting.
This is recruiting. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It might be helpful just to have suggested guidelines or guide points that Stantec was recommending for selection too.
Yeah, we gotta get together some talking points and whatever. But that's our two next important steps. We can really get this over to Stantec.
Not to put you on the spot, but at some point I'd benefit from an understanding of how an advisory panel differs from a group of stakeholders, just what the different scope looks like for those positions.
Sure.
Just need to think about it. Okay.
Yep.
Anything else?
Then we had our HR committee meeting, and let's see, I don't know if either one of you, I sent, as you know, the summary notes over to Peter, but maybe you two would like to talk about it.
Maybe I can just maybe hit the,
Yeah, summarize.
well, just maybe I'll just maybe the ideas for broadening the candidate pool. Then we just hit on that point and then pass it off. I'm new to the organization. Had a couple directors from out of town the last couple of years that have since moved on. So our conversation in part was, how do we recruit the right person for the job, right? What have we done in the past that maybe isn't working anymore? What does the candidate look like that we've been recruiting that hasn't stuck around for too long? So the general idea here is how can we broaden that candidate pool? And this kind of ties in with the contracted services with the NSDC, how far in the future that goes, if it's something the organization wants to maintain to relieve some of the administrative tasks and create a growth position with potential for professional development. So maybe reassess the qualifications and experiences we're looking for to attract a different pool of people and figure out a way to provide the resources and training that such a person might need to grow into this position and maybe demonstrate some longevity in the job.
Thank you. You might recall on the 3rd of January, we discussed NSDC or perhaps other agencies providing this short-term triage that we need, and that's the 6-month contract that we've got, but also to study a longer-term potential solution. So we didn't decide on the second, but I think it's something very valuable to study because there's something to be had there for sure. Okay, thank you.
And so part of the conversation too is just what opportunities are there in the North Shore Development Company if there is a possibility or interest in expanded services for the EDA. It's not common, but becoming more common that executive directors are contracted. And so I don't know if you've had any discussions along those lines. I mean, clearly we have immediate needs. We also have long-term needs, and we've had some good successes with those guys.
Sure. Yeah, NSDC itself, I think, is a pretty new entity. Our relationship with them is even fresher than that. Thus far, it's been back end, whether in the current temporary solution that we've got, or even potentially in a longer-term solution for establishing that administrative function on a long-term basis. What we have not discussed yet and haven't pushed it is that concept.
Step by step, but I just wanted to throw that out there in case that's something the board would be interested in, and or if.
Well, it's over my long years, unfortunately, that we have evolved, EDA has evolved in what we do, and we've gotten way more legitimate, you might say, in a way, because especially Teresa really got us into really documenting everything, and it always hasn't been that way. I mean, it's been pretty damn loose in the past. So, the whole job description and what personality, what kind of person you're looking for, it's going to be hard to find because now we're asking for a front person that is the face of the EDA, and I would call it almost a rainmaker, sort of like what Peter does in Vermont. And then you have to offload this paperwork so we do all of our work correctly and well. This is fairly new, maybe the last 5 years kind of thing where we document all this and get it filed correctly and done correctly. Well, it's hard to find in one personality, so now you got a front person out here, and then, okay, they take that hat off and put the office work hat on and do that, and I would say if we've got some turnover and failures, it's because of that. Hard to find somebody that's good at both. In that particular skill of that back office that Peter talks about it's not unique, but it takes a certain skill level. In the contract people we have, you probably all know it's Teresa Bada. She's really good at all that stuff, and she could probably do it in this 20 hour we have, you know, allotted, and paid for, and it's affordable for doing what she's doing. You know, if we have to hire a full executive and then have that supported by an off-site person, that's probably a whole different financial equation that we need to talk about. In one of the, we talked about a special meeting, we kind of quickly went over, you know, should we advocate for combining HRA and EDA? And I think they have the same issue. You know, you've got basically a rainmaker, a face person for HRA. They develop a whole bunch of work that has to be worked on by somebody, and we'll see it, you know, and combining the two, now you've got, you can share that cost, you can specifically find somebody that does the you know, the out there work, and then you've got, you know, somebody that's specifically hired to just do the detail back work, you know, and you know, it's hard to find both those attributes in one person, especially when you have to have them live in Grand Marais. You know, if you're in a big metropolitan area, maybe you have a whole bunch of choices, but you know, it's gonna be a challenge. Fortunately, the contract with Teresa and Jason, I mean, that's solid, we've got it in place, they're happy to do the work, we're paying them, and it's a level of payment that we can afford, and it's in our budget. So it takes the pressure off. Gosh, we gotta get out and hire somebody tomorrow. I mean, we got some time to work this through, I think. That's my opinion.
Okay, thank you.
HR committee also discussed even utilizing them in the short term for our hiring process. Would that be a possibility for, you know, added billings? We talked about the division, and then we also recognize, you know, you don't hire, right now we have the actual people in place, specific people that fit the bill, but if we put up this structure, then are we setting ourselves up for a time when they don't exist, and then we still need that? You know, it sounds really good now because they're there, but we always want to hire to what we need, not to the actual company in this case behind. So I mean, it's just something to kind of weigh out. It certainly sounds super great right now.
Yeah, I'll be speaking with Jason just on the expansion of the scope on keeping the EDA admin business moving forward, and I can include that as part of the conversation. Do you anticipate initiating that recruitment now, or doing some more studies and thought based on these conversations before jumping in the pool?
I think it's the last thing you just said.
Yeah, that's what we were thinking, is have some breathing room.
Yeah.
Have more conversations with North Shore Development Company to see what our options are, what services they could or could not provide, and then where the board wants to go, knowing all of those options.
Good, because I'm happy to hear that, because it'll need to really fit into the Gantt chart of keeping the business running, putting out a few fires, and when we're ready, and getting recruitment. Okay. Good. Thank you.
It'd be nice to have, a little more certainty, but step by step.
Amen. Okay, thank you. Commissioner Shackleton, anything else?
No, I think, I like the idea of the contracted position idea. I don't know, that you lose that local face, you know, the one that everyone knows and shake hands, so I think you lose that part of it. But it might solve the revolving door problem, you know, which is a big problem. So.
Well, I will say that it's not all 3 times, but for the same reason. So if that's of any reassurance, it'd be one thing if it was a consistently, but it wasn't.
Right.
And it certainly wasn't in this last.
Right.
So.
The other thing we discussed, and maybe you had said that, and it's just different words, but when we do potentially broaden the pool, if we do move on from a contract, and we do hire an individual executive director, what training opportunities there could be if we wanted to try to grow our own, because some of the challenge has been individuals outside of the community necessarily having a hard time getting established. And so if we have someone in the community that maybe doesn't have the full skill set, did you say that?
Yeah, no, I couldn't, but you're good. Continue, yeah.
Then yes, then having expertise that we have contracted could really kind of train them.
Yeah, a different way in. No, you're right. Okay. Great. Thank you. Commissioner Bibi Gudice, any other commissioner business to share?
No, but just one more HR item is, we talked almost exclusively about the director position. We did just make a list of things to address once we've achieved that goal of hiring. And it's largely revolves around board member training, structuring our committee work and processes a little bit more, and working on some onboarding kind of resources for existing and new board members.
Good.
So that's after the director is filled, whenever that is, but some opportunities for the 7 of us to grow and develop as well.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. President,
Updates?
Oh, yes.
I've been working hard on a home project, and it just takes me now to get my head into the EDA business, so apologize. But I had a call, or I had a conversation with Mike Larson this afternoon, reporting on the sale of the golf course. We spent like 6 hours this week, or maybe last week, with the second round. One of the interested parties, and I think they've done the second round with 2 people. He's still pretty excited about, we maybe have some really strong contenders. No offers yet, but that's coming, probably will be coming. Related to that, and he and I talked a week or 2 ago, it kind of revolves around Lutzen Resort, and we've always kind of said, gee, we got the golf course up for sale, it's too bad that whole situation isn't resolved, because the right player might want to see a bigger complex golf course resort facility, and it's all tied up in investigations and so forth. And I expressed to him, and actually to Scott Harrison some months ago, is there a role for EDA to weigh in? I mean, we are the economic development agency in Cook County. Lutzen Resort is a huge economic driver, and it's just sitting there. And would it be appropriate for the EDA, President Glissold, to, and I don't even know who to send the letter to, but maybe weigh in as one government agency to another, that let's get this thing off the dime. I mean, we have a huge asset in a small community, a small county. Why we got to get this thing resolved? So I'm just wondering, I bring that forth if that's something that we want to think about doing.
Stepping in that?
Pardon?
Stepping in that?
Running a
Well, no, just saying, just what I just said, it's
I'm
a huge
teasing,
economic,
I understand.
it's a economic
Yeah.
engine, and
It's
the
a big
county
deal.
is just sitting there, and it's tied up in what, who knows what, we don't even know, but let's just maybe know that we're watching and interested in having this thing move forward. So,
Yeah.
not necessarily anybody's dragging their feet, but somebody's dragging their feet.
You could also tell the Canadians to put their fires out.
Yeah, well, that would help, yeah.
That is a little too close to home, Commissioner.
You're talking to Canadian.
Oh, yeah. Don't they understand what we like to do in our summers?
Oh my gosh. Okay, any other commissioner reports or items to share from commissioners? Nope. All right, seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn the July 15th, 2025 meeting at 5:19
So moved.
p.m.? Seconded?
Nobody second on it.
All right, meeting's closed. Next meeting is Tuesday, August the 19th. Thanks all.
Yeah. Good job, Jordan.
As we further track that summer's almost over.
Jeff.
August,
How's it going? Welcome back.
One of us will fucking in. You have, I was gonna say, if you have a chance to go visit, it's definitely worth it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what. There's a couple of them that wouldn't run up to the front of the table if they do it.
If I can see you tomorrow.
Okay, I'll be there too, so I don't have it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll get that over to
So what do you get up to?
Especially if you're aware.
She hasn't, but I met her.
Yeah, but I don't think you can message privately.
You could also read it.
Yeah, something
It's hugely important.
So, you got some of your ice cream, lemon bar? Oh, really? Yeah.
That's not the double.
That's not the double, right? We do that as a mistake. And then I went over across the street.
Yes, I don't know.
With my family. Oh, like
The yellow one is.
it changes the whole dynamic of the
Yeah.
schedule.
I just spoke to her last week.
What's that?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. We should collaborate across the street.
There's quite a few.
Oh, really? So, yeah, you
Great.
got that idea.
She was great with those ideas.
Yeah, I mean,
People are creative and cool.
That's one part.
boy, everybody's like,
And it works.
Right,
We're working on it.
heads up.
I take notes.
Yeah, take some notes. Maybe not as good as John, but
Sometimes just a little help is what they need.
I remember everything.
Yep, I've got his stuff, so I'll contact him, just figure out
That was an amazing.
I looked at that stuff and didn't see anything, and that was,
Well, you may.
the way I talked,
Yeah, well,
the meeting I
know,
had.
I didn't
talked to
know,
us,
I thought.
They made it sound like, oh, we do this stuff all the time, and it's, but maybe just not.
Oh, sure. And so,
That's the next shot.
but now that you say it's just, yeah.
That's why they're talking to commissioners, so they can rate that check.
Yeah, I think like they don't have to, go through the approval, but it's like, well, this is the first step, and we built 2 panels just to make sure it works. And
Well,
then-
maybe this is
feel like
the those under the tent, I mean, it could be,
See if
you
there's.
should look at a
but you gotta get,
More like.
proof of concept, but then the next grant might be bigger.
Right, and that's what, kind of, you could foresee this going forward, like,
My name and say.
okay, well, someone's out there with some actual interest in putting one of
You know, she was on the date of the Portage, and she sent me.
There's a chance here that,
Stuff,
you know,
look at it.
lumber source from us that,
they asked her to try
you know,
to.
through this whole thing, that there might be some help in actually,
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason you can't put studs in
So,
this.
yeah, I mean, I gotta make that distinction that you asked.
yeah, absolutely. And actually, they do for the
If
yeah, the
don't
cross
understand
lambs,
it
a
represented
lot of
as
it's just 8-foot studs,
To
so.
have 100 people sitting in a meeting.
Yeah.
Wow.
I wasn't just asking.
So she, at least she's in the area, but she's still.
Yeah,
kind of
yeah, she's in the area, yeah, right.
You're not the only
Right,
one.
yeah.
They used to like Schroeder, they wanted,
Product here,
they're like, oh, I've gotta be at the.
it's really the market side.
Like, no one's doing anything to you.
They-
This
Are
is
you
a
gonna
vision.
haul? How's my property? Or the.
And there was time to that part of it. then
Yeah, and that's really, I mean, that's
And
ultimately the
people
goal,
can start getting ideas.
hopefully northern Minnesota, but somewhere in the lake states to get a
Yeah.
CLT.
Oh, man.
Just a lot of stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's.
We're gonna go to Canada for a few days, so I thought this was my goal to get all that stuff moved out before we left.
Oh, yeah, twice the
Twice the size, yeah.
It's a monster.
It's a monster, yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully that,
Tomorrow morning. morning.
Okay.
You know,
Provided I get.
the whole thing's just baby steps, that's
yeah.
why.
Hannah, just.
Let's prove it'll work and then we
That
can
was-
consider sites.
That was the
Thank you.
last thing. I'll just send one more
It's our
note
role,
and
EDA.
I'll copy you to say, so Brady, when this gets back to
Working
me,
inches, I mean, it's.
Yeah,
who's getting it to Jacob at Stantec?
yeah, happy
Or
to step
keeping
in.
him?
Yeah.
Well, like the conversation we had.
I guess
He
it
loves
would
us
be
'cause we
better
have to pay the loans.
That was quite an eye opener, I'll tell you.
Yeah. it's,
Oh, that Janelle, we were calling, like, she just, the first thing, we've had a long and successful history of that
I've
stuff.
been over
It's
to
like,
Ross.
yeah, we paid our loans back.
My brother said this. Only for a few days.
Thanks for helping.
All right, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
getting
I'm glad
introduced
you
to-
came, because I thought, I haven't heard from you.
Either way, you feel like, oh my God. Hey, baby.
I gotta show you a picture.
Oh, did you
Bye-bye.
get your,
Oh, sorry,
Thanks so much for being back.